Hello, welcome in on this 25th day of May, the National Missing Children's Day, which is, by the way, was in 1983 by President Ronald Reagan, named in memory of Etan Patz. We will be talking about Etan Patz's case. It's tragic, it's historical. It did end in a conviction, but Etan has never been located. National Missing Children's Day, and this is Etan Patz. Thank you for being here. This is Crime Time Buzz, and we are going to discuss this young man who the very first day he was allowed to walk to that bus stop alone in Manhattan where he lived, Lower Manhattan, Soho area. Memorial Day weekend approaching. May 25th, this very day, but in 1979. The very first day, Mom and Dad allowed him to walk to that bus stop alone. Etan never made it. And of course, a whole school day of a jump ahead because the parents didn't know until he didn't get off that school bus. At the end of the day, they had no idea that their little Etan, 6 years old, first grader, never arrived at Independent Plaza School. Whoever took him, whatever happened, whatever was going on, began hours and hours before. Imagine the panic a parent has. Some of you have been through that, haven't you? This is a great article. It shares with us. Excuse me one second. This is a wonderful article that I'm going to read. It gives us the background of the case from the moment he disappeared. Here are Etan Patz's parents. They've never given up. On the morning of May 25th, 1979, 6-year-old Etan Patz walked the 2 blocks from his home to his bus in Manhattan. It was his first time walking there alone before school and the last day his parents would ever see him. That's because someone abducted Etan during that walk. In his parents' effort to find him, Etan became among the first missing children to be featured on milk cartons. And also, Etan, according to the Library of Congress, was the first child to be featured on a milk carton and also played a role in the foundation of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. So it's a very historical case. Led to many things, and of course, today's day, the National Missing Children's Day. They did not realize, Julie and Stanley Patz did not realize he was missing until a whole school day later, and he did not come home. They soon learned he hadn't even been in his first grade class that day or even made the bus that morning. They called the police. Etan's disappearance led to nationwide search that was not resolved until 2017. And by the way, Etan was one of the first missing children's cases to go nationwide that was not a celebrity's child. So in 2017, Pedro Hernandez was convicted of abducting and unaliving Etan. It took decades and decades of fake and false reports. People showing up, imposters, claiming to be the young man, tips that were false. Terrible for the family for decades and decades and decades. And then they reopened the case in 2010 or 2012. They proclaimed Etan Patz legally deceased in 2010, but reopened the case in 2012 after receiving a tip from a family member, a brother-in-law, because apparently Pedro Hernandez had confessed in open church years before that he had unalived a little boy, but no one really believed him. But later on, when they reopened the case and the family started hearing about Etan's case, the brother-in-law, they realized, maybe this is true, and called the police. The police so that tip led to, I don't want to jump ahead, that tip led to them excavating a basement floor of a Manhattan building in the hunt for the remains for Etan, or any clues to determine what happened to Etan. Let's go ahead and watch. The FBI, they tore into the concrete of the foundation of that building with jackhammers to find any clues.
They gingerly pass debris down a makeshift assembly line. They know each piece of torn up concrete could hold the answer to what happened to Etan Pate.
It's going to take as long as it takes. The process has begun, and we're going to go through today, into the weekend, and into early next week if need be.
Police started their meticulous investigation Friday of debris brought up from a basement in this Manhattan building, just a block away from where 6-year-old Etan Pate went missing back in 1979.
It was a wasteland of sorts prior to 1979, and then
33 years later, NYPD, the FBI, we're still looking for clues and looking for Etan. I'm not saying his name correctly, I don't think. So the tip led to bringing in and interrogating Pedro Hernandez because a family member said that they believed he might be involved. Being 18 at the time and working at a Bogota as a stock clerk, he confessed. They ended up bringing Pedro in based on that tip. They went and they were excavating the basement based on that tip. And he did confess to luring Etan in with a soda, via soda. Now imagine his first day walking to the bus and someone lures him with a soda and he goes. It's just such a circumstantial, opportunist. I mean, it's just everything had to line up for this to happen, right? It's just sad. So he was found, he then was arrested. He said he took him into the basement and attacked him. He choked him. One account says, well, he did put him in a box. One account says he was still alive, Etan was, when he went into the box. And then he went and put him near a big trash bin with other trash that was piled up around the bin. They've never found Etan, but they found his monster. So he got 25 years for the abduction and unaliving of Etan Pate. His name is Pedro Hernandez. He was 18 when he did it. And 33 years later, he confessed. And 38 years later, after the day Etan disappeared, the man was convicted and justice was served. Here is the press conference.
We have a suspect in custody who has made a statement to the NYPD implicating himself.
A startling lead in the 33-year-old case of Etan Pate. Police say a man confessed to strangling the little 6-year-old boy on his way to school back in 1979.
This evening, the New York City Police Department is announcing the arrest of Pedro Hernandez, age 51, of Maple Shade, New Jersey, for the murder of Etan Pate. Hernandez confessed to choking Etan 33 years ago tomorrow in the basement of a bodega located at 448 West Broadway in Manhattan.
He worked at a convenience store in the same neighborhood. According to police, Hernandez says he suffocated the little boy, put his body in a box, and disposed of it in an alley.
This happened, 33 years ago? He's been in his own personal hell for 33 years, because you don't forget that.
Dan.
That's right. If you have any sort of a conscience, any sort whatsoever, it haunts you. And by the way, for those of you who want to know, a bodega is the Spanish term for a small grocery store, often specializing in Hispanic groceries. So rest in peace, little Etan. So glad justice was served. Someone's behind bars. His monster is behind bars. Rest in peace, Etan. So much that remembers and honors your name today, named after your memory, named for your memory. We prayers up for the family and loved ones of Etan and all the kids who are missing today on this day that is a reminder that there are so many missing. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please remember the missing today on this National Missing Children's Day. Thank you so much. I will see you later. Hit the like button on your way out.